There's a heaviness that greets you before the day even begins. It settles in the space between sleep and waking, that quiet moment when your mind starts to stir. And the first thought that arrives isn't gratitude or possibility, it's panic. A whisper that cuts through the stillness. Everyone's already ahead. You reach for your phone, and within seconds, the evidence floods in. A former classmate just launched their business. A friend just closed on their dream home. Someone half your age is living the life you thought you'd have by now. The race you didn't sign up for is already underway, and somehow you're still at the starting line. This isn't a feeling that visits occasionally, it lives with you. It's the low hum beneath every conversation, the shadow that follows you through every milestone you do reach. You celebrate a small win and immediately notice someone else's bigger one. You achieve something meaningful, and the satisfaction lasts maybe an hour before the next target appears. Friends hit markers, engagements, promotions, adventures, and you smile for them while wondering why your own timeline feels so stalled, so slow, so impossibly far from where it should be. The paradox is almost cruel. Objectively, you've done things. You've overcome obstacles most people will never see. You've built something from nothing, survived seasons that could have broken you, learned lessons that changed you. But when you look back at your path, none of it seems to matter, because the lens you're looking through isn't calibrated to reality. It's warped by comparison. It's distorted by an invisible standard you've internalized so deeply that you can't even trace its origin anymore. This is what it means to live as someone who perpetually feels behind. And if these words land somewhere deep in your chest, if you feel seen by them, then what comes next isn't critique. It's understanding, an exploration of how this pattern took root, what it's quietly stealing from you, and how you might carefully, compassionately begin to release its hold. Where A's were expected and praised minimally, where accomplishments were acknowledged with a nod, and then immediately followed by what's next. Maybe your parents meant well. Maybe they thought they were motivating you, pushing you toward excellence. But what you learned instead was that rest equals failure. That being satisfied with where you are means you're lazy, complacent, unambitious. Or perhaps your childhood was different. Perhaps you watched a sibling excel while you struggled. Perhaps you were constantly compared to cousins, to neighbors, to the perfect child your parents wished you were. Perhaps you internalized the message that you were the one who couldn't keep up, the one who was always a step behind, the one who would never quite measure up. These early experiences create something psychologists call a scarcity mindset, the belief that there's never enough. Not enough success, not enough time, not enough proof that you're worthy. This mindset operates from fear rather than abundance. It tells you that if you're not constantly moving forward, you're falling behind. That if you pause, even for a moment, you'll lose ground you can never recover. Layered on top of this is another concept, temporal comparison anxiety. This is the psychological phenomenon where you constantly measure your current self against an imagined timeline of where you should be. You look at peers who are married, who have children, who have careers, and you create a mental map of milestones you believe you should have already reached. Research shows that this anxiety isn't just emotional, it's cognitive. When you focus exclusively on what hasn't happened yet, you develop what researchers call an imbalanced time perspective, characterized by future-oriented anxiety and past-focused feelings of failure. Your brain literally stops registering progress because it's too busy cataloging deficits. Consider Elena. She grew up the eldest daughter in an immigrant family. Her parents sacrificed everything for her to have opportunities they never had. And while they never explicitly said it, she knew she had to succeed. Not just for herself, but for them, for the family. At 10 years old, she was already calculating how high her grades needed to be, which extracurriculars would look best on college applications, what career would make her parents proud. By 25, she had the degree, the job, the apartment. But she didn't feel accomplished, she felt exhausted, because the moment she reached one milestone, she was already looking at the next. Her colleagues were getting promotions faster. Her friends were getting engaged. She was always, perpetually behind. Then there's Marcus. His story is different but leads to the same place. He grew up watching his older brother excel at everything. Sports, academics, social life. Marcus was quieter, more introspective. He needed more time to process, to think, to find his path. But time was never given. His parents, well-meaning but impatient, constantly compared him to his brother. Why can't you be more like him? And so Marcus internalized it. I'm slow, I'm behind, I'll never catch up. Now, at 38, Marcus has a career he enjoys, hobbies he loves, friends who care about him. But when he sees former classmates posting about their achievements on social media, the old wound reopens. He's back to being the kid who couldn't keep pace, who was always a step behind his brother. What's happening beneath these stories is a fundamental disconnection from the present moment. Anxiety psychologists have found that people who constantly feel behind operate from what they call unbalanced time perspectives. They're either anxiously focused on the future or ruminating on past failures. They rarely inhabit the now. And because they're never present, they can't actually see their progress. They can't acknowledge their growth. Every accomplishment is immediately dismissed as not enough because the measuring stick has already moved. This pattern becomes self-reinforcing. The more you feel behind, the more you compare. The more you compare, the worse you feel. The worse you feel, the less capable you become of recognizing your own worth. Social media amplifies this exponentially. Research shows that excessive social comparison, especially online, leads to increased anxiety, depression, and significantly lower self-esteem. You're not just comparing yourself to people you know, you're comparing yourself to curated, filtered, highlight reel versions of thousands of strangers' lives. And your brain treats every image, every post, every milestone announcement as evidence that you're falling short. The wound, ultimately, is this. You learn that who you are isn't enough, that your value is determined by external metrics, achievements, milestones, timelines, rather than your inherent humanity. And so you've spent years, maybe decades, running a race that has no finish line, chasing approval that will never satisfy, trying to prove something that was never yours to prove in the first place. You do this in your relationships. You compare your love life to everyone else's. You see engagement announcements and wonder why you're still single. You see couples celebrating anniversaries and wonder why your relationships always seem to end too soon. You see friends having babies and feel panic rising. Time is running out, you're behind the schedule, you're missing the window. And even if you're in a relationship, you can't enjoy it. You're too busy worrying about the next milestone. When will you move in together? When will you get engaged? When will you have kids? The relationship itself becomes another checkbox, another thing you're racing toward instead of actually experiencing. Your partner senses your distraction. They feel like they're not enough because the truth is nothing ever feels like enough. You wonder why intimacy feels so hard to sustain. You do this at work. You compare your career trajectory to everyone else's. You see promotions you didn't get, opportunities you didn't have. People younger than you in positions higher than yours. You work longer hours, take on more projects, say yes to everything because maybe if you just work hard enough, you'll finally catch up. But the goalposts keep moving. You get the promotion and immediately focus on the next one. You achieve the raise and immediately notice someone else making more. Burnout researchers have a name for this, resource depletion. You're constantly operating from a sense of threat that your resources, time, energy, achievement are scarce and slipping away. This creates chronic stress, emotional exhaustion, and eventually, complete depletion. You wonder why you feel so tired, despite technically succeeding. You do this with your self-worth. You measure your value against arbitrary timelines that you didn't even create. You believe you should have accomplished certain things by certain ages, owned a home by 30, had a stable career by 25, figured out your purpose by now. And when you don't meet these milestones that are largely cultural constructs, not universal truths, you internalize failure. You tell yourself you're lazy, you're incompetent, you're wasting your life. You scroll through social media and every post becomes evidence of your inadequacy. Someone's vacation photos mean you're not traveling enough. Someone's fitness journey means you're not disciplined enough. Someone's creative project means you're not productive enough. You wonder why your self-esteem crumbles so easily. You do this in your inner dialogue. The voice in your head isn't kind. It's critical, relentless, unforgiving. It catalogues everything you haven't done yet. It reminds you of every opportunity you missed, every choice you regret, every way you fell short. It doesn't celebrate progress. It only notices deficits. This constant self-criticism creates what psychologists call cognitive imbalance. Your brain becomes wired to notice negatives and dismiss positives. Even when good things happen, even when you accomplish something meaningful, the voice dismisses it. Yeah, but you should have done that years ago. Yeah, but other people have done more. You wonder why you can't enjoy your own victories. You do this in solitude. When you're finally alone, when the distractions stop and the noise quiets, you feel it fully. The panic, the inadequacy, the overwhelming sense that time is slipping through your fingers and you're wasting it. You lie awake at night running calculations. How many years you have left, what you still need to accomplish, whether it's even possible anymore. You feel grief for the life you thought you'd have by now. You feel shame for not being further ahead. You feel exhausted from the constant pressure to catch up. And beneath all of it, there's a quiet, devastating loneliness. Because when you're always focused on where you're supposed to be, you can't actually connect with where you are. You can't be present, you can't rest, you can't feel satisfied. You wonder why nothing ever feels like it's enough. The irony is crushing. You're working so hard, achieving so much, moving so fast, and yet you feel perpetually stuck, perpetually insufficient, perpetually behind. The very thing you're chasing, the feeling of arrival, the sense of being enough, becomes impossible to reach because the chase itself is the problem. As long as your worth is tied to external timelines and comparisons, you will never arrive. There will always be someone ahead. There will always be another milestone. There will always be proof that you're not doing enough. Limit time spent scrolling. Replace passive consumption with active creation. Things that ground you in your own life rather than other people's curated versions of theirs. The metaphor for this healing is learning to stop running on a treadmill. For years, you've been sprinting, convinced that if you just run faster, work harder, achieve more, you'll finally reach the destination. But a treadmill doesn't have a destination, it just keeps moving. The only way off is to stop, to step off, to stand still and realize that the ground beneath you, right here, right now, is solid. You don't need to earn your place on it. You're already here. Here is the truth that lives at the end of this. You are not behind. You are exactly where you are, and that is the only place you can be. Every choice you've made, every detour you've taken, every so-called delay has brought you to this moment. And this moment is not a deficit. It's not evidence of failure. It's your life, happening now, in real time, the only time that actually exists. The timelines you've been chasing, the milestones you've been measuring yourself against, they're illusions. Beautiful, seductive illusions, but illusions nonetheless. You were never in a race. You were only ever on a path, your path. And the only person who gets to decide if you're moving at the right pace is you, not society, not social media, not the voice that learned to criticize before it learned to celebrate. Just you. So what if you stopped measuring and started living? What if you stopped chasing and started arriving? Not at some future destination, but here, right here, where you've been all along, enough, whole, exactly on time.